Welcome to episode 45 of the Tough Draw Talks podcast. I'm your host, Brad Hughes. Appreciate you being along for the ride. Today, we are coming to you live from the Pro Rodeo Hall of Fame in Colorado Springs. The legacy of rodeo that's enshrined here is truly awe-inspiring, and we are so appreciative of Mr. Kent for having us out. Also going on here in Colorado Springs this week is the Pikes Peak or Bust Rodeo, also known as the NFR Open. A great opportunity for circuit champs to come and take home some big prize money, and we're going to have a couple guests on that are participating in the event for y'all. Before we get started, we appreciate the hospitality the PRCA and the Pro Rodeo Hall of Fame has shown, giving us a place to land for the podcast during this rodeo, but also a very big thank you to our presenting sponsor this year, the Lane Frost brand. We appreciate everything Stetson and the Frost family has done for us here at Tough Draw and all of our ventures, including this podcast. Be sure and visit lanefrost.com for some amazing hats, shirts, and everything Lane Frost. And to celebrate one of the greatest legacies rodeo and sports in general has ever known. Make sure and use our discount code TDT15 to save on your next order. Our first bull rider up competes in the Prairie Circuit and is a Kansas Cowboy. This young man has had a great start to the year, taking home the crown at this year's Bull in the Ballpark, and is hitting the trail hard during the summer run. Sitting in the top 30 in the world, Colton Byram. Colton, man, how are you doing?
Good, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing all right. Happy to be in the mountains. We got like Pikes Peak right over here to our left and all this legacy and history right here. It's been pretty cool
Awesome,
to be here. I don't know how many of the podcasts you've gotten to listen to, but we like to start off with some icebreaker questions. But lately, since we've been on the road, we like to kind of theme them a little bit. So I'm going to throw in, since we're here at the Hall of Fame, let's mix in a little bit of legacy questions if you want to, man. All right. When you were growing up, what cowboy inspired you?
I'd say Terry Don West. I try to mold my riding style mostly to Terry Don as much as I can, because he always rode the rank ones, in my opinion. So that's what I try to do.
Heck yeah. So speaking of riding, do you have any superstitions or pre-ride rituals or anything that you like to do? Are you superstitious?
I got one superstition. It came from my dad when I was real little. If you open a knife, you shut it. And
there you go.
That's this way I've been since I was a little bitty.
Yeah. That's funny. That's one of the first ones that we've heard, because we always get the hat on the bed and stuff like that. But when you ride, before you ride though, do you have a certain way you always do things with your gear and stuff like that, or is it more just muscle memory?
Man, I usually don't get too excited until about the bronc ride, and then I'll take my stuff out and I'll stretch. I'll get ready. But main thing is I just try to stay as calm as possible until it's time to do my job. So
heck yeah, man. All right, and since we're in Colorado, what's your favorite outdoor activity?
I'd say hunting and fishing. I do a lot of that back home, and I sure enjoy that. And me and Trey do a lot of hunting and fishing together, and we sure enjoy that back home.
Yeah.
So
heck yeah, man. That's cool. All right, so a little bit about my background. I'm actually a film major, right? So, and I do a lot of video production and stuff, but I've always got to ask this: what's your favorite movie?
The Other Guys. I really like that movie.
Oh yeah. Okay.
My nickname's Gator, so that's where I got that off that movie. So.
There you go. Cool, man. So this one's always a good one to kind of come out of the icebreakers on, but what's the best compliment you've ever received?
I would say from little kids' parents, like how I hold myself. I try to take my time out and like help any little kid if they need help with anything. It doesn't matter if it's with rodeo or just hunting or whatever they need. I always try to take my time out of my day to go out and try to help them and try to be a good role model for them, because at the end of the day, they're looking up to us, and I feel like it's my duty to do the best I can for them. And I've gotten a couple compliments from parents and older people to me that I look up to that say, "Hey, thank you for taking your time out," and that means a lot to me at the end of the day. So
heck yeah, man. That's what it's all about, right? The legacy and passing it down generation to generation, because that's how the sport and the culture goes on, right?
Yes,
well, very cool, man. Well, I love that answer. And let's go ahead and dive into, you kind of alluded to your background a little bit, but tell me a little bit about yourself. Like, how'd you get into rodeo? I know you're from Kansas, but
Yes, sir. I went to school in Kansas. I was born in Missouri, but I lived in Kansas since I was 3 till now. So I say I'm a Kansan. And
there you go.
Grew up there. My mom, she's a school teacher. My dad, he does heating and air work, and my stepdad, he's a banker, and my stepmom, she owns a restaurant, and I kind of grew up. I just grew up rodeoing. My mom, she breakaway roped and did all that through college, and my dad rode bulls, so that's where I kind of, he kind of showed me the ropes to bull riding and stuff, and they drug me all over the nation, and I can't thank them enough, growing up, them taking me everywhere I wanted to go. And small town, I think there's 1,200 people in Mountain City, so
there you go.
Everybody knows everybody, so
that's cool.
Pretty cool.
So, man, growing up, you just alluded to how your parents, drug you around and how much you appreciated that, which I think is just awesome, right? And I'm just a big fan, and I know a lot of our listeners are fans as well, and some of them don't get to compete like that. But what was that like, growing up with parents doing rodeo and kind of in that community and in that world? Like, how is the rodeo community, and what's so special about it?
I mean, I think it's awesome. When I was growing up, going with my dad and my mom, it's a lot different than it is now, because they never did pro wise. They just went to amateur deals, which I really enjoyed, going and watching that. But once I got old enough to go to the high school national finals, and I met some of my best friends, rodeoing, and Trey and Creek Young and guys like that, just doing that stuff. And I probably would have never met them if I wasn't doing that. And I think that you grow a special bond when you meet people through rodeo, and
it's like family without blood, right?
Right, yeah.
Once
you create that bond, man, and you enjoy doing this sport, you go with guys that are really pushing you to do good, just like they are. You can't beat that. So
yeah, no, that's actually really interesting to bring that up. So you already mentioned Trey. So Trey Holston's a good buddy of ours. He'll be one of our other guests on the podcast during the NFR Open here, but. What was it like growing up with Trey? I mean, you gave us this picture we posted of y'all at 3 years old. We're going to try to get out here and recreate that later, but what was that like? I know Trey told me y'all were sheep world champions and all this other stuff. So, but what was that like growing up? How y'all were what? How old were y'all when y'all met?
Oh, shoot. I mean, I'm sure we've known each other since we were babies, because, we weren't born 3 months apart, but, heck, we rode sheep together. We rode calves, steers, all up to the bulls, and I've told Trey this before. When I was younger, he was always beating me, and I never would tell him until a couple years ago. I was like, man, I'm gonna beat that guy one day, in a friendly way. But and I tell him that all the time, and he's like, I said, you honestly pushed me at the end of the day, to be better, and I appreciate that a bunch. So
heck yeah,
and we always ran around doing something and always breaking something down, but
well, that's cool, because that kind of goes back to the community element that we just talked about, having a special bond like that, and somebody to push you like Trey does, and I'm sure like Creek does, and stuff like that. When you talk a little bit about traveling partners, what's that like, especially since you've been rodeoing now for a couple years, but what does that mean to you to have guys in the truck with you?
Man, I think it's everything. I think you need to have somebody, you need to surround yourself with people that's going to push you and make you better at the end of the day. If you're traveling with somebody that's, not wanting to put in the effort, I feel like that wears off on you. And if you got guys around you that really want to win, I know for me, these guys want to win, so it makes me want to win that much more. And, we're going to have off days. That's just part of it. So when you do have those off days, you need to get with your buddies, be like, hey, what am I doing wrong? What can I do better?
Yeah.
To better myself for the next time I'm, get to perform. And those guys sure help me out, and I think we all help each other out for the most part. And it doesn't even pass bull riding if it's a problem we're having past bull riding, like just something personal. We always help each other out. So
for sure,
it's good, I think.
Heck yeah. So talk a little bit about high school rodeo and college rodeo, and just a little bit about kind of your journey through there. You got hurt in high school, right? Yeah. And then you had a pretty successful college run. Tell us a little bit about that. And
man, high school, I only high school rodeoed in my last 2 years, my junior and senior year. Didn't have no luck my junior year, and I came back, and I think I was second in the state.
Yeah.
And went out of high school finals, and first bull, stepped on my elbow, tore everything in my elbow. Set out 6 months, come back, college. First year, I only got to go to 4 rodeos or whatever. Didn't get to make it, but then started my permit year, pro rodeo in that summer. Did decent, got my feet wet, and then we come back to college again. I rode lights out and won Central Plains region, and that was when COVID hit, so we couldn't go to college finals.
Yeah.
Roll into the fall of 2020, going into 21, and riding good. I rode really good that COVID summer and on my permit again, and I actually made it to the the permit finals or whatever.
Yeah.
And didn't get to go to that because October I tore both my shoulders up, both my labors in my shoulder, and I needed surgery real bad.
Dang.
So I missed all my college year that year, and then fast forward 6 months, I get all healed up, get on 3 or 4 practice bulls, and I went to first rodeo, just kind of getting my feet back wet, and I 88 points in the gate, and I went to get off. Bull stepped on me, and I broke my neck and my back pretty bad.
Holy crap.
And then I sat out all that summer, and I sat around and just waiting. I was like, all right, well, luckily I didn't have to have surgery. I got it all healed up. And right after Christmas, and it was right at the first year, Coach called me again at Fort Scott.
Yeah.
And he said, man, what do you think about coming back? He said, they ain't rode very many bulls. I said, I think if you can ride a few, you can probably make the college finals. I said, okay. I said, I'll do it. I came back. I made it. I placed second in the region.
There you go.
And went to college finals. Didn't do what I was set out to do, but it all happens for a reason. And then, last year I really took off. Man, I started riding really good and started climbing up in the ranks, and that was first good year rodeoing for me. Not full, but I started, not late, but a little bit.
Yeah.
And rodeoing real good, and man, I got clear to August 1st, or it was the September 1st, actually. I was sitting like 18th in the world. I was really pushing toward, I was getting close. I was really riding good, and man, I was getting real sick, and I was waking up and pulling sweat every night, and Trey's like, man, you got to get up. I was like, what? He said, we're going to the hospital.
Yeah.
I said, okay, because I'm stubborn. I wouldn't go to the hospital. Get to the hospital, and doctor tells me I got mono, and I got to go home because my spleen's about 3 times the size it should be. And they said, well, you're kind of taking a pretty big risk right now. So I went home and got everything right, and falling into this year, I was top 5 in the world, and then I got wrecked out and lost Fresno's, and I had to sit out. I broke my collarbone and had to sit out for 4 months. So I just got back about a month ago.
Dang, man, yeah, no, I mean, I knew about some of the injuries, but that's a lot. One thing that I think is really interesting when I hear about that is like, we'll talk about kind of the mental and what it takes to get over all that, but like you talked about going from you started pro rodeo and went back to college and different things like that, like went to college rodeos. Talk a little bit about the difference in skill level and like the bull power, I guess, is probably the best way to put it. Like, is there a big difference or is there not at this stage of the game?
There definitely is. I mean, you're getting on 20 to 21 pointers at a college rodeo, which to me, if you're riding professionally, I feel like you got to ride those bulls perfectly. Everything should be crisp, sharp.
Yeah.
You should be riding those
Easily,
bulls
almost.
pretty handily, And if you don't, you should be a little bit discouraged. But I'm not saying they're a day off, but you should be riding them if you're at this level. So, in here, you're getting on, pro rodeos, you're getting on, anything 21, 22, maybe some 23 pointers. There's some buckers in here, but dang sure got to have your ducks in a row to ride.
For sure. So when you look at that, like, so all these injuries and how they've stacked up and kind of fell at, sounds like some pretty inopportune times. I noticed when you sat down, you had an extreme buckle on from this year. That was from what, Arizona?
That one was from Bulls in the Ballpark. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. Bulls in the Ballpark. So, I mean, it's just when you look at these injuries and how they kind of pile up, and when you come back or you get sick or whatever and come back, like, what is the mentality and what does it take out of you? What are some of the keys to kind of overcome that? Because I'm sure you're not, I mean, I know for a fact with all the guys we've sat down with, there's injuries and all that, but what does it take, especially for a younger guy like you, really trying to get going,
Man, I'm going to tell you that, I've had my elbow and my shoulders and all that, that didn't scare me much. I know it's part of the sport, but when I broke my neck and my back, opened my eyes up like, hey, do you really want to do this at the end of the day? Like, I had to I had time to sit on it, and it wasn't that my heart wasn't in it, but it was a wake. It was a wake up call. It was like, hey, you want to do this or not, man? Don't take this for granted. Man, it really opened my eyes, and I told myself, if we're gonna do this, let's do it right and do it, 110%. Like every time we go out, it's time to be, cowboy about it, and let's put out maximum effort, because any time it could be your last time, and everybody knows that. We don't think about it, but it made me open my eyes to it. Like, hey, this is a real thing. Like,
because I guess, to put it in perspective, you have obviously Lane Frost, you have Jerome Davis, right? It's like that, the mentality of like this, your next ride could be your last.
Right.
Doesn't necessarily just mean that, it could end your life, but it's like it could put you in a state, like you're saying, break your neck, break your back, all those sorts of things. So I think it's really, really interesting the amount of mental fortitude it takes for y'all. And that kind of brings me to one of the big things that I like talking about with guys is like the overall mentality of an athlete, right? Because at the end of the day, that's what y'all are. Y'all are athletes.
Yes, sir.
And you're performing at a high level in a professional setting. Y'all passed the high school, the college, and and advanced, and there's a clear advancing. What do you think about the sport, the kind of the growth and the future of the sport, particularly bull riding?
And I think the sky's the limit. I think, there's so many kids out there nowadays, like them guys in the 80s and the 90s and the early 2000s, they don't have the equipment and the training facilities like we do now. Like, we have everything in the world to make ourselves better. We just have to go out and use it.
Yeah.
And if it's, it shows, like, there's some younger kids that are 16, 17, 18 years old, and they're riding just as good as me or Trey. Like, they're very good. There's some good kids out there. And I think it's just the equipment and the things that we get to use. But I also think, like, there's a lot more mentors now, people they can look up to and people that can ask for questions. And in the machines, like, you got the Buckrights. And I think that makes a world of difference when it comes to how kids are going to grow in this sport. And 5 years down the road, I think the money is going to not double, but I think it's going to be close. I think the money's going to start going up, and the guys are going to. I think it's going to be a good deal. So.
Absolutely. And I know you PRCA primarily, but I like to get bull riders' opinions. What is your thoughts on the PBR teams, and what do you think about kind of the team setting? Though I'll give you a little bit about my perspective on that, like kind of that growth that you're talking about. I've been pretty adamant telling everybody that I think that bull riding in particular could be, in rodeo could be looked at as kind of the fourth major American sport. And I think that adding a team dynamic really helps that. I know that bull riding is an individual sport, so I always like to hear cowboys' opinions, whether they like it or don't like it, or just what they think of that type of mentality in general. Because you have ridden for a college rodeo team, so you might have some different perspective than some people.
Yes, sir. I mean, I'm more of a rodeo type guy. I like the whole rodeo aspect of it, I guess I should say. But man, I think the team deal is really good. And I was really going to enter the draft this year, and after I broke my collarbone, I was like, you know what? I think I should just set my sights on one thing.
Yeah.
And that was, trying to push for the finals and make a good run at it. And I think that team deal, sky's like again, the sky's the limit for that. And I think they're going to grow, and that's going to be a great deal. I think everybody should do it. I think they got some good things going on over there, and I dang sure think I could see myself doing that, in the near future. So.
Absolutely. That's awesome, dude. So we've talked a little bit about the injuries and things like that, but let's talk about. Tell me about Bulls in the Ballpark, how that went down. I'm sure you probably remember quite a bit of that.
Yeah.
But
it was dang sure cold. I remember.
That was down by Austin, right?
Yeah.
In October?
Yeah. It was actually in Round Rock, but they called it Austin.
Yeah.
Close enough.
Yeah.
But, man, it was cold that night. I was freezing. I was wearing my jacket. I had my jacket on, sitting on top of the buggy chute, about to get on. I was so cold, but... And I crawled off in there. Nothing was getting hot. I just I'm just going to trust
there we
it,
go.
Yeah, he shot out there, and around the left we went, and, man, I guess I rode him, and ended up being 90 points. And, dang sure was dang cool. They gave me a nice branding iron for winning it, and
Heck yeah.
and I'll remember that for the rest of my life. I think that was my second one I won, but I think that one was a lot,
Yeah.
just cooler.
That's probably your biggest win right now,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yep. Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
That's really cool. Be able to show up. That really sets your season in motion too, right?
Yes,
like it
sir.
really kind of helped kick you off into that top 5 like you were talking about for a little while.
Yes, sir.
But just those injuries, But what is kind of, how do you see this season playing out for yourself? You, like I said at the beginning, you're top 30 right now for sure, and you're here at the NFR Open, and I would imagine you're going to Cheyenne and all those good things. But what are you looking at? What's your kind of your goals for the rest of this year?
Man, we don't ever know what's going to happen, but for me, it's to make the yellow buck and shoots, and that's my only plan.
Very cool.
If I don't, I don't feel like I failed myself.
Yeah.
Because, things happen, everything happens for a reason, but, that's what I'm gunning for, and I think at the end of the day, everything's going to fall in place as it should, but I'm dang sure going to put my hand in there and with intentions every time, here on out for the rest of the season. So we'll see how it goes, but that's my intentions. So
Heck yeah, man. I love hearing that. So I've heard, and you've already been kind of talking about it and alluding to it, but I've heard you're quite the bull aficionado.
Yeah, they always ask me, what's this bull? What's that one? Well, I don't know. I can't remember much, but I can dang sure remember where a bull bucked. I don't know.
Do you typically only remember the ones you've been on, or do you remember ones you've just seen?
Man, if I usually see it with my eyes, and it don't matter, like I can tell you the guy that got on him, where he was at when he got
like
on
Rain
him.
Man.
Yeah, what pin he was in before he got the buck and shoot, what buck and shoot he was in. If I can see it and I know what he looks like, I might not remember the brand or whatever, but I could tell you what he looks like and what he does for the most part.
Absolutely. Well, so I'm going to toss a couple bulls at you, just so let you describe them for me.
Man, this
right?
is going to be tough.
Well, no, I'll make it easy.
Okay.
Riding solo.
Riding solo, that'd be Cord McCoy's. I think his brand number 612.
Yep.
Maybe?
Yep. Yeah. What about him? Have you seen him buck in person?
Oh, yeah. That bull's an athlete. That's a phenomenal animal, and I think Cord should be very proud of that bull. I think that bull is, man, he's a handful, man. I ain't going to lie to you. He'd be a handful, but, if a guy rides him, you're going to be north of 90 for nature. So.
What about Smokestack?
Smokestack.
You remember Smokestack?
That is, Benny Butler's. Actually just sold him to Blake Sharp, and they've been bucking him the PBRs.
Look at that.
I can't remember his brand. I think it's like R.
I don't even know.
But yeah, big old gray bull. Bucks.
What's your favorite? Like, since you do know bulls so well, like, what's your favorite type of bull? A lot of people talk about bulls with like really good timing. Do you like the riding solo? Do you like the athleticism as a rider? Like, does it make it? Does it help? Does it make it fun? Like, what are some of the pluses and minuses to the different ways that bulls buck in your eyes?
In my eyes, if I had to pick a bull that I'd really like to get on, one that's got a lot of timing, but, a lot of up and down, and either way, honestly, I don't care which way they go, but up and down and round and round, that's ideal for everybody, I feel like, but, not every one of them does that, so you gotta expect the unexpected, I should say. So
yeah. Does knowing so much about the bulls ever affect you? Does it get in your head at all, or do you just?
Man, everybody's like, you'll have some guys be like, I don't want to know. I don't want to know. But for me, it's like, we got the power of the internet, and it's just like football players going back and looking at film.
Yeah.
For me, it's like, okay. This bull likes the left, he wants to go out there and hop skip around the left. I want to know that if he's got a hop skip in there.
Yeah, that's true.
Just for me, if he's wild out of line, I want to know that. If he sucks back in the gate, I want to know that so I can pull my rope back a little bit so he don't pull me down the front end. So
for sure,
I feel like it's a playbook, man, and you should use it to your advantage.
Study it.
Yeah, you better study it. That for me, that's just me. But
because things always can change and go different. You got to ride jump for jump. But at the end of the day, like you're saying, sometimes just having that little bit of an advantage of knowing that that's cool, man. Thank you for nerding out with me on that front. So if any of y'all got questions, holler at Colton. I might just start. I'll take a fee. I'll start sending people, your number and be like, here, pay Colton for his services.
We can do that.
Very cool, man. All right, so I've heard you're a hunter. Heard you love to hunt. You talked about hunting and fishing earlier. What's your favorite hunt you've been on so far?
My favorite type of hunting is turkey hunting.
Okay.
And I've had some turkey hunts like with some really good friends that I introduced Trey to turkey hunting. Like he'd never been turkey hunting before, and I introduced my buddy Bub and Creek Young to turkey hunting this year. And for me, I've shot enough of them when I was younger. I don't care to shoot, but I sure do like to enjoy calling them in and you know, stuff like that, and taking people that's never been. And like my little brother Trevor, I've taken him before on his first one, and he really enjoys going now. And I think it's for me, it's like I enjoy doing that, and I like to pass it on to people that don't get to do that every day. So
that's cool.
It's fun for me, and like last year I took Trey for his first time, and he didn't know what to expect. Trey he didn't grow up in hunting and stuff, and I finally introduced him a little bit to turkey hunting and duck hunting. And we had some turkeys coming in, and Trey really didn't know what to think about it at first. But boy, when they were coming in, his old gun got to shaking, and we got him one, and he was all pumped up. So now he loves it, and I just think that's awesome. And everybody that I've took and stuff like that really enjoy it, and it makes my day when I can have them put a smile on their face just as well as mine. So.
Heck yeah. Now, we've actually filmed quite a bit of different hunting, and like going on duck hunts is always fun. Getting up in the mornings, getting out there before daylight even, and
it's awesome.
Yeah. No, it's always fun. I'm always the one sitting at the end with the camera, but I have fun in there,
It's always cool to watch, ain't it?
Heck yeah. So we talked a little bit about the yellow buck and shoots for this year, and you kind of alluded to maybe going to the PBR with the team stuff anyway. Mm-hmm. What are some future plans and goals for you? What are some of the things that you're hoping to do, further into your rodeo career, but even outside of rodeo, if you've thought about it? I know you're a young guy, but
Yeah, I dang sure like to rodeo as long as I can, God willing, keep the injuries away, hopefully. But
seriously.
I'd dang sure like to, everybody's dream ought to be, I want to win a world title. And, but, goal is to, make the finals for dang sure and keep doing it. And when I retire, I think I've thought about it a million times, and, I kick it back and forth. And, I would like to run some cows. I got some cows back home, me and my dad, run, and he dang sure helps me out a lot when I'm gone, and he keeps them fed up and, stuff like that. And I think I'm leaning towards the insurance stuff. I like.
Very cool.
I went on a trip with a guy, and I did some insurance claims and stuff like that, and I really enjoyed that. And I'm getting my license for that right now.
Heck yeah.
Take an online class for that, and I think he makes a lot of money doing it, and it's pretty easy. So I was like, I think I kind of like doing that.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
Pretty cool. I think I'm gonna lean towards that.
Awesome, dude. Awesome. You talked about going to the teams and in the draft and stuff like that. Do you ever want to do the UTB and the PBRs, or would you prefer to rodeo and do teams, or have you really thought that far?
Man, it's like, you don't want to say never, but I do like the rodeo aspect side of things over here, and I enjoy traveling and going every day. I think getting on every day really helps a guy, stay. I don't know. You don't get stale, I should say. You get on every day, and you will get sore, I should say. You probably get on a bunch, and I don't know. I think I'd probably stay over here, but who knows? When you get a family and kids, one day you want to be home more, and they rodeo on the week. They have those on the weekends. So
exactly.
You never know.
Yeah. No, that's a really good point. Man, we got a couple of fan questions, so I'm gonna pull some of these up. Actually, I had a couple comments. Gina Brownback says, I'm his mama and his biggest fan. So that's awesome. A lady named Peggy said that she could sure use some of your confidence. And then Amy Bruns said, I'm convinced that this guy would put up a good fight for a batch of cowboy beans. I don't know if you know her.
That's one of my best friends' moms.
Okay. Okay. There's probably a story there, I would imagine.
I'm pretty sure.
So Trey, we'll throw this out there. Trey actually wanted me to. He told me that there's a pretty funny story. I hope this is funny because you did break your back. But he said there was a story about him popping your back.
Well, See, I guess
See?
I should say, like, I don't know, my parents were always like, yeah, you got to tough it up, or,
Yeah.
So, yeah, he was raised the same way. We're like, man, when I got stepped on, when I broke my neck and my back, I was like, dang, man, that kind of hurt. And I was telling Trace, this hurts like heck.
Yeah.
My dad was back there, and I was like, man, this hurts. He's like, oh, you're all right. I was like, okay. So, I went to the hotel room, and I got up that morning. I'm like, yeah, man, Trey, I think it just knocked my stuff out of place. Maybe you should just pop it in. So we got the bright idea that I'd just lay on the ground and he'd pop my back, not knowing if nothing was broke.
Oh, Lord.
And it didn't help at all. It hurt more. So
Trey's not a chiropractor.
No, he's not a chiropractor, and I don't recommend him to anybody. So, I dang sure walked around for a week not knowing it was broke, and I finally quit being hard-headed and went to the doctor.
So Landon asks, describe your perfect bull ride.
I would say none of them are going to be perfect, because the higher level in bulls you go up, the good bulls are going to shake you loose sometime in the ride. You know what I'm saying? So you might feel and you got to get used to feeling uncomfortable, because they're going to shake you loose. It's what you do when they do that. So I feel like, some of the best bull rides I've ever made, I felt like I was out of position and, trying my butt off the whole time. And I was, but at the end of the day, that's what made that bull ride cool, and what made it, more points, because that bull was really bucking and he made me try. And those ones that you feel like you're just owning him, they feel good, but you're not getting a score as high. Those ones that really buck, you're going to feel out of shape. You're going to have to try. You're going to have to put out that second, third, fourth, fifth effort. And that's, So.
Heck yeah. Another question that we had is, what advice would you give to young aspiring bull riders?
That's a good question.
Don't.
Because,
no, I'm kidding.
Because, there's a lot of little kids running around here, saying they want to ride bulls, which is awesome. And I hope they do. At that age, kids are just, thinking it's cool.
Mm-hmm.
So when, you get into that 7, 8, 9, 10 range, they start, getting into other activities. That's when you'll know if you really want to do it.
Yeah.
If I was to tell parents, like, how they should get their kids into riding, or, get their feet wet, kind of let them go do a couple, youth rodeos and stuff like that. But, don't put them on something that's going to hurt them, because that's going to drive them away from the sport. And you don't want that. I don't want that for anybody.
Yeah, for sure.
But put them on some lower level stuff and just keep stepping up. It's like a stepping stone deal, man. Just put them on some lower. Once they get riding that lower level stuff really well, and that's when you can start upping the game with them. But it's like I see a lot of parents put kids on stuff that they don't need to be on right away, and I feel like it drives the kids away, and they don't want to do it because they just get throttled, and I think that's wrong. So I think parents should be really careful of what they do with their children, like what they get on, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And that's what I was grateful for. I never got on anything that was real bucky until, I was 12 or 13, and then I was getting better, and I just kind of progressed from there. But I think the kids in general need to have a love for the sport, because, and that might be the first, like, they get bucked off one time and they don't want to do it no more. That's fine. They just,
you got to love it.
Yeah, you got to love it, man. And at the end of the day, but I think when I really realized I really loved doing it, when I was probably 14 or 15, you're young at that age. You don't know what you really love.
Yeah.
14, 15, 16 came around. I was like, I want to do this,
Yeah. So in connection to that, you talked about like buckrite and some of the new things that are out there these days. Just in your opinion, because when I think about a buckrite, I think about how the technique, how it teaches you that technique. Is that technique really something that somebody learns early on, or is that more an appropriate thing for high school? Because, we've been at some of these rodeos, like Houston, for example. I remember some people coming up talking to us about, like, how do I get involved in bull riding? I want to go buy my kid a helmet and a vest and all these things. And it's like, when you're thinking about the investment, like, are those types of things, like, obviously, like, if they're going to get going, go ahead and buy them the protective equipment. But at what point in your mind would you do, like, buckrite and different things like that? Is that something that, is that a technique that you need at all levels, or is that kind of more of as you get advanced?
I think you could start the buck ride out deal real early. I mean, teaching these kids, like, I know when I was younger, I had a thing called a steer riding arm. I had no control of my free arm. I was just letting it fling around because them steers were not strong. I could just hang on to them.
Yeah.
But I think the buck ride is probably the best thing on the market. It's, the best thing going. And I think you can start them kids at just starting calf riding. I mean, as long as you can teach them the basics, going front to back and keeping their arm in a standard position where it needs to be.
Yeah.
I think that'll help a kid out a bunch. Like I said earlier, like if you can, they have all the equipment in the world to make themselves better nowadays, and people around them. And I feel like they use this equipment right and put the right people around them. There's going to be some bull riders, and I'm telling you now.
Yeah.
And I think them kids got a lot of equipment, and I feel like that buck ride, you can start them out at calf riding, and I think that'll honestly up their game when they get to them junior bulls.
For sure.
Stuff like that.
Absolutely, man. That's awesome. So, last question is from Blake, and he says, you're going to a lot of summer rodeos right now, a lot of historic ones. We're here in Colorado. You're going to Cheyenne, different things. What is your favorite rodeo, if you have one?
Man, that's a tough one because, every time I get hurt, I haven't been to Pendleton because I always seem like I never get to September, so I can't say that. I'm getting ready to go to Calgary in a couple of days, so I'm sure that one's pretty cool. But the ones I've been to, I know it's a little rodeo, but I'd say Clear Lake, South Dakota, just because it's in a little bowl. It's just in a field, man. It's just so it's cool, man.
Very cool.
I'm going to see that very often.
Have you gotten to be to Cheyenne yet, or is this your
I've
first
been to
time?
Cheyenne
Cool.
a couple times,
Yeah. That's awesome, man. Well, Colton, man, is there anything else you'd like to add or say to your fans and fans of the sport in general?
My fans and friends back home, I really do appreciate them a bunch. They're the ones that keep driving me, every day. My friends from Mountain City, they really support me in everything I do. And family and friends back home, they're always appreciative. And I always try to give them a call when I can. I get free. And
for sure,
they dang sure get my motor running a little bit more. So I do appreciate everything they do back home, and mom and dad keeping everything going, and my step parents. So
yep, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Thank you so much for being here, man. We really enjoyed this. And again, thank you all for listening, and Lane Frost Brand for sponsoring these podcasts for 2023. Without that support, we couldn't do what we love doing for y'all. Make sure and go to lanefrost.com for merch and all things Lane Frost. And be sure to use our code TDT15 to make sure and save on your order. And also, thank you so much to the PRCA and Pro Rodeo Hall of Fame for being such an awesome host for us today. Colton, if you wouldn't mind, what are your social handles and where can people follow along with you?
My Instagram's just Colton Byram Colton_ Byram, and then my Facebook's just Colton Byram, and then that's about all I got.
Heck yeah. And also follow along with us on social media at Tough Draw and at Tough Draw Talks for more episodes of the podcast as we continue to bring y'all closer to the rodeo community. Until next time, everyone, enjoy the ride.